Microsoft played a pivotal role during the pandemic, launching a global skills initiative to train 25 million people, helping them pivot into the top 10 in-demand jobs. My next guest is Microsoft's Corporate Vice President of Government Affairs, Fred Humphries. He deals with many of the pivotal policy issues facing the tech industry, including privacy, trade, education, and I'm going to add something, emerging technologies, and ethics in emerging technologies. Fred, it's great to see you, and I love seeing you in person. You're also fun to talk to online. I guess my question I want to start with, is this initiative of training people. As another big agenda item of the folks that we're talking to today have talked about the need for STEM and the fact that we've got to get serious about it, that we have a skills and shortage deficit. To deliver the world that we see coming, we don't have the talent out there to manage it and to be engaged in it. That's the proposition that's on the table. I'd love to get your take on what Microsoft has been doing.
First of all, it's great to be a part of this program with The Hill and talking about tech. It's always great to see you, Steve. And so with that, let me take on your question. When I look at it, one of the things we've seen with this pandemic is with, as a result of, 2 months of the pandemic has been 2 years of tech acceleration. We've seen, unfortunately, some job losses in certain areas. We're seeing the demand for certain skills. And one of the things that we've embarked upon at Microsoft with this Workforce Skills Initiative is to really encourage people, right, to reimagine what they need to do when it comes to their job skills. And if you look at the demand and need on the job skills side when it comes to those digital skills one must possess, and you think about the jobs that are out there today and of the future as this transition is taking more rapidly of what jobs, skills you need, you think about software developer, you need to have a digital skills, sales rep, digital skills, data analyst, digital skills, customer service specialist, digital skills, graphic designer, digital skills. These are skills that are needed today, and that there are jobs that are needed today as well. And so as we've embarked upon this digital skills initiative, it's been great to see the uptick of so many people wanting to be trained. And I think you have to be vigilant and zealous about being training constantly when it comes to lifelong learning and enhancing your digital skills.
Another thing we've talked about a bit today, Fred, is the question of how you build in security. So Microsoft, you're good at this stuff. But the U.S. government, we've been talking about these subjects, you and I have known each other now for decades. Not every element of government is caught up. Not every element of cybersecurity is in place. Not everyone's cyber literacy is at a certain level. And I guess my question to you is, and you're talking to the Biden team coming, do you sense a commitment? I just find the fact that major departments of government that are responsible for security are today getting hacked. I just want to know, this is a topic we're going to continue to be struggling with for a long time.
Well, there's no question people want, are demanding, and need trust in technology. That's actually at Microsoft one of our pillars, trust in technology. This is very unfortunate on this nation state attack. We at Microsoft, and if you want to learn some more, I would go to our Microsoft Security Center and go to that website where you can get some in-depth knowledge and outlining and addressing what has taken place on this nation state attack, on one. And two, I think it's really important. I just wanted to say, for Microsoft, we have not seen any vulnerabilities when it comes to any of our product, our cloud services, or anything of that nature as a result of this nation state attack, as we have investigated into this. But back to your question, Steve, I think that you saw with the Solarium Commission, the need for a national cybersecurity officer, which was passed, and I think we're quite excited about, and we actually participated. I think you're seeing among other tech companies and others that want to see more of a vigilant effort. What we need to do in tech to have that trust in technology. As I think about the sponsor of this event, ITI, which is an outstanding trade association, and I think Jason will be speaking at some point. That's a part of their letter to President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris, the need for be vigilant on cybersecurity. So I am very optimistic that the Biden administration will definitely place a great emphasis on cybersecurity for government, but also just raising the bar and making sure for all things when it comes to technology, because you gotta have that trust in it as we continue to be leaders on technology throughout the world.
Fred, you had a great, an interesting tweet on October 29th, and the tweet says, access to Wi-Fi is essential during these unprecedented times. I'm proud of Microsoft's partnership with Land O'Lakes. And I'm going to tell people, Land O'Lakes is not just a butter company. It's a giant federation of agricultural producers. It's huge. It's rural, and they make butter and lots of other things. Tractor Supply and 4-H. I was so intrigued because, sometimes it's the odd bedfellows that are commingling to do something. And that's what this said to me. So what are you trying to achieve with this odd bedfellow alliance?
Well, first of all, it's been great to partner with Land O'Lakes. We've actually been partnering with 4-H. You would think Microsoft 4-H on this as well. But one of the things that, what have we learned during this pandemic? In order to have remote learning, telehealth, anything that regarding technology. What is it? And what Land O'Lakes is talking about? Infrastructure, broadband, and more broadband. If you don't have that broadband and with those Wi-Fi abilities, it will result in not being able to have, unfortunately, remote learning and or spotty of that. If it's not going to be, if you want to do precision farming, or anything of that nature, if you're in a rural area. Even if you're in an urban area, we've seen that's cost, and there's also issues on the infrastructure when it comes to broadband and Wi-Fi. So this is something that's been a great partnership with many others to be a part of it, to bring attention to anything that I think should be at the top of the list, which it is broadband. That's what I'm talking about when I
let me squeeze in one last thing, Fred.
Sure.
Your colleague, Brad Smith, the president of Microsoft, wrote a book called Tools and Weapons, along with Carol Ann Brown. And in that, you said companies have a responsibility to think through the ethical dimensions of these technologies that are coming on. That they can be tools, they can be useful, they can be helpful. They can also be exploited for bad purposes. And the case that he talked about was facial recognition software, for instance, and certain dimensions of AI with regard to how China was deploying them, and that Microsoft said no, it was not going to work on that. Do you think that, and how do I ask this in a fair way, do you think the IT industry in this nation has both the legs and the strength and the commitment to those sorts of ethics choices which Brad Smith wrote about?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think about as we talk about something that who's one of my favorites, Napolitano was just talking about is when you look at technology, you need to have responsible AI, right? Which means you have to go through a whole decision tree of the things you will or will not do to make sure there's not an implicit bias. And that you're also being responsible as you look at facial recognition of what are the standards, and maybe you need to set the high standards or the right standards of when you utilize facial recognition. So I think that this is being demanded by our customers. It's the right thing to do. It's a responsible thing to do. And I think that companies are very committed to addressing these type of issues when you think about whether it can be used for good purposes or bad purposes, or not its intended use, which is what Brad and Carol Ann were highlighting when it comes to tools and weapons.
Well, Fred Humphries, who leads government affairs for Microsoft here in Washington, thanks so much for sharing with us your candid views on this important subject today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Steve. And I want to say happy holidays to all. And also just say something that as we wrap up, which has been a difficult year, my thoughts and prayers for so many people who have had to deal with COVID and unfortunately loss of life as you go into this wonderful time to celebrate so much when it comes to the holidays. On behalf of Microsoft, our heart as out to those who've had to deal with some very, very tough times and tough issues as a result of the pandemic. Thank you,
Fred,
Steve. Thank you, Bill.
couldn't
Okay.
understand. I couldn't underscore that enough. Thank you so much for those comments, my friend. Thank you.